I never expected that one simple decision would unravel the threads of my life. My name is Laura, and I'm a 32-year-old elementary school teacher. For the past few years, I've felt a sense of stability and happiness. I live in a small town with my husband, Mark, and our 2 children, Sarah and Jake. Our lives seemed perfect on the surface, but underneath, a storm was brewing. Everything began on a rainy Tuesday morning in April. The weather matched my mood as I rushed to get the kids ready for school. Sarah, my 8-year-old daughter, was particularly fussy that day. "I don't want to wear that dress, Mom," she whined, pulling at the sleeves of her favorite outfit. "It's too scratchy," I sighed, glancing at the clock. "We don't have time for this, sweetheart. Please just wear it today and we can pick something else out tomorrow." Reluctantly, she complied, but I could see the disappointment in her eyes. As I loaded the kids into the car, I felt a nagging unease that something was about to change. That afternoon, I received an unexpected message from my best friend, Emily. "Hey, Laura, can we meet up after school? I have something important to discuss." Her tone was unusually serious, and a chill ran down my spine. What could possibly be so urgent? We had always shared everything with each other, but her cryptic message made me anxious. After picking up the kids from school and settling them in with some snacks, I drove to our usual cafe. As I walked in, I spotted Emily sitting at a corner table, her expression grim. "Hey, thanks for coming," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I felt a knot tightening in my stomach. "What's going on?" I asked, taking a seat across from her. "You look worried?" Emily hesitated before speaking, her eyes darting around as if she feared someone might overhear. "Laura, I don't know how to say this, but I've been hearing some disturbing things about Mark." My heart raced. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice shaking. She leaned in closer, lowering her voice even more. "I heard from a mutual friend that he's been spending time with another woman. They've been seen together more than once, and it doesn't seem innocent." The words hung in the air like a dark cloud, suffocating me. I wanted to dismiss it, to believe it was just gossip, but something deep inside me felt uneasy. "Are you sure?" "Mark wouldn't do that," I replied, forcing the words out, but the doubt crept in. What if Emily was right? What if my perfect life was a facade? "I trust him completely," I insisted, even as doubt gnawed at me. Emily sighed, her expression softening. "I hope you're right, Laura, but I think you should talk to him about it." I nodded, knowing she was right. I had to confront Mark and find out the truth for myself. The thought terrified me, but I couldn't let this linger in the back of my mind. When I returned home that evening, Mark was already in the kitchen preparing dinner. He always seemed to have a knack for cooking, and the smell of his famous pasta sauce filled the air. "Hey, honey, how was your day?" he asked, smiling brightly. I wanted to smile back, to forget the heaviness in my heart, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. "It was fine, but there's something I need to talk to you about," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Mark's smile faded slightly, replaced by a look of concern. "What's on your mind?" he asked, his brow furrowing. Taking a deep breath, I plunged into the conversation. "Emily told me she heard rumors about you being with another woman. Is there any truth to it?" Mark's expression shifted instantly. His eyes widened and his mouth opened slightly as if he were about to deny it. "What? Laura, that's absurd. You know I would never do that," he replied, his voice rising slightly. The conviction in his tone should have reassured me, but the seeds of doubt had already been planted. "Then why would she say something like that? You've been acting strange lately, Mark. I need to know what's going on," I pressed, searching his face for answers. He took a step back, running a hand through his hair. "I promise you, there's nothing to worry about. I've been stressed with work, and I've been trying to keep up with everything. It's just been a lot on my plate," he explained, trying to remain calm. I wanted to believe him, but the conversation left me feeling unsettled. As I lay in bed that night, sleep eluded me. Thoughts swirled in my mind, each one darker than the last. Was my marriage really crumbling beneath the surface? Was there a hidden world I hadn't seen before? The following days were filled with tension. I watched Mark closely, scrutinizing his every move. He had started coming home later than usual, citing work obligations. Each time he walked through the door, a part of me hoped he would bring an explanation, something to put my mind at ease. But each evening ended in silence, with my heart growing heavier. On Friday, I received another message from Emily. "Laura, can we meet again? I found out more information." I felt a mix of dread and curiosity. Was this good news or bad news? I couldn't bear the thought of more betrayal, but I needed to know. That afternoon, I met Emily at the cafe once more, my heart racing as I sat down. "What did you find out?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked around, ensuring no one was eavesdropping before leaning in. "I spoke to a friend who saw Mark and this woman at a bar last weekend. They were close, like they were more than friends." "Did you get her name?" I asked, my pulse quickening. Emily shook her head. "No, but I can find out. I just wanted to give you a heads up. You deserve to know the truth." I felt a mix of anger and fear bubbling inside me. I didn't want to believe this could be happening, yet the evidence was piling up. When I returned home that evening, I felt a strange sense of determination. I had to confront Mark again. As soon as I walked in, he looked up from his phone. "Hey, how was your day?" he asked, his tone light. "Mark, I need to talk to you," I said, my voice firm. He immediately sensed the change in my demeanor and put his phone down. "What's wrong?" I spoke to Emily again. "She heard more rumors about you being with someone else. I need you to be honest with me. Is there something going on?" I felt the words spill out, each one heavy with dread. Mark's face paled, and he looked away for a moment as if searching for the right words. "Laura, I swear to you, there's nothing happening. I've just been under a lot of pressure at work," he insisted, but I wasn't convinced. "Pressure? Or guilt?" I challenged, feeling the tension in the room rise. "I don't want to believe that my husband is cheating on me, but the signs are pointing that way." "Laura, I would never betray you. You have to trust me," he pleaded, but doubt lingered in my mind. I wanted to believe him, but the fear of being naive consumed me. The following days felt like a waking nightmare. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was living in a house filled with secrets. My children played happily, oblivious to the storm brewing between their parents. Every time Mark left for work, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. I considered hiring a private investigator, but the thought made me uneasy. Did I really want to uncover the truth if it meant shattering my family? One afternoon, while the kids were playing in the living room, I received a text from Emily. I found out her name. It's Lisa, and she works at the same bar Mark has been frequenting. My heart sank. I felt a mix of anger and betrayal welling inside me. I sat on the couch, staring at the message, the weight of it crushing me. Lisa. The name felt foreign, yet familiar, a shadow lurking just outside the light of my happy life. I couldn't let it go unanswered. I had to confront Mark once and for all. That evening, I waited for Mark to come home. My heart raced as I prepared for the confrontation. When he walked through the door, I felt a surge of adrenaline. "Mark, we need to talk. I found out the woman's name. It's Lisa, and she works at the bar." He looked startled, his face paling. "What? Where did you hear that?" "Emily found out. You can't keep lying to me, Mark. I deserve the truth." He ran a hand through his hair, looking frustrated. "Laura, please let me explain." "Explain what? How you've been lying to me for weeks?" I shot back, anger bubbling over. "Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I wouldn't find out?" "Laura, I'm not cheating on you, I swear," he insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. I felt a wave of frustration crash over me. "Then what is going on? Why are you being so secretive? You're hardly ever home anymore, and when you are, you're distant." "I've been busy with work. I'm trying to provide for this family." "Provide or hide? I don't know what to believe anymore," I shouted, tears welling in my eyes. As I stared at him, I saw the cracks in our seemingly perfect life starting to show. I realized I couldn't keep living in this uncertainty. I had to find out the truth once and for all, no matter the cost. The next day, I made the decision to confront Lisa. I couldn't let her continue to loom over my family like a dark cloud. I had to know if she was indeed the woman Mark had been seeing. With Emily's help, I discovered where Lisa worked and made plans to visit the bar that evening. As I walked into the dimly lit bar, my heart raced with anticipation. I scanned the room, looking for her. My hands trembled as I approached the bar, the smell of alcohol and the buzz of conversation swirling around me. After a few minutes of searching, I finally spotted her. Lisa was tall, with long brown hair and a bright smile that lit up her face as she interacted with customers. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the confrontation. "Excuse me, are you Lisa?" I asked as I approached her. She turned to me, her smile fading slightly as she recognized the seriousness in my tone. "Yeah, that's me. Can I help you?" she asked, her voice steady. "I need to talk to you about Mark. Can we step outside?" I replied, trying to keep my voice calm despite the storm brewing inside me. Her eyes widened in surprise, but she nodded. We stepped outside, and I felt the cool night air hit my face, a stark contrast to the heat of my emotions. "What do you want to know?" Lisa asked, crossing her arms defensively. "I want to know if you're seeing my husband," I said, the words tumbling out in a rush. She looked taken aback, and for a moment I thought she might deny it. "Mark? I didn't know he was married," she replied, her voice dropping. My heart sank. "So, you are seeing him?" I pressed, feeling a mix of anger and betrayal. "Not intentionally. He's been coming here a lot and we've talked, but I had no idea he was with someone," she explained, her expression softening. I felt a wave of emotions crash over me: anger, sadness, and a sense of betrayal. "You don't get to pretend you're innocent in this. He's my husband, and I deserve better." "I didn't know, I swear. I'm not trying to come between you two," Lisa insisted, her voice pleading. "Then what am I supposed to believe? That he's been lying to me?" I snapped, frustration bubbling up. "Laura, you need to talk to him. I don't want to be involved in your marriage." "I didn't know," she repeated, her sincerity cutting through the anger I felt. Feeling deflated, I took a step back, processing everything. "I don't know what to believe anymore," I admitted, my voice shaking. That night, I returned home, my mind racing. I couldn't escape the truth that Mark had been lying to me, whether or not he had physically cheated. The thought left me feeling hollow. As I lay in bed, I knew I had to make a decision. Days turned into weeks as I grappled with the truth. Mark continued to come home late, and I found myself growing distant. The love I had for him began to fade, replaced by a sense of betrayal. I knew I couldn't keep living this way, trapped in a relationship filled with secrets. One night, I gathered the courage to confront him again. "Mark, we need to talk. I can't keep pretending everything is okay," I said, my voice steady. He looked up, surprised. "What do you mean?" "I know about Lisa. I confronted her, and she confirmed everything. You can't keep lying to me." His face fell, and I could see the weight of guilt settling in. "Laura, I never meant for this to happen. I was just feeling lost, and I got caught up in the moment," he confessed. "Caught up in the moment? You're talking about my marriage. You should have come to me," I shot back, my heart racing with anger. I know, I'm sorry. I just didn't know how to fix things," he replied, desperation lacing his words. "Fix things? You've broken my trust. How can I ever believe you again?" I cried, feeling the tears streaming down my cheeks. "I'll do anything to make it right, Laura. I love you," he pleaded, reaching out for me. His words felt hollow, a feeble attempt to salvage what was left of our relationship. I took a step back, shaking my head. "Love isn't enough when it's built on lies," I said, my voice trembling. In that moment, I realized I couldn't continue this way. I needed to take control of my life, to reclaim the happiness I once had. "I need some time to think, Mark. I can't make any decisions right now," I said, my heart heavy. As I lay in bed that night, I felt a mix of relief and uncertainty. The road ahead was murky, but I knew I had to find a way to navigate it. I wouldn't let secrets define my life any longer. Over the next few weeks, I took time for myself. I focused on my children, pouring my energy into them as I tried to make sense of my feelings. I sought comfort in Emily, who remained a steadfast friend throughout my turmoil. One afternoon, as I sat with Emily at the cafe, I shared my struggles. "I feel lost," Like I'm stuck in a never-ending cycle of doubt and pain, I confessed, my voice breaking. You deserve to be happy, Laura. You need to do what's best for you and the kids, she encouraged, her eyes filled with concern. I nodded, knowing she was right. I needed to make a decision about my marriage. But the thought of breaking my family apart terrified me. I had to find a balance between protecting my heart and ensuring my children felt safe and loved. As the days turned into weeks, I made strides in rebuilding my confidence. I started going to yoga classes, finding solace in the quiet moments of reflection. Slowly, I began to realize that I had the strength to move forward, no matter what that looked like. Then, one evening, Mark approached me with a new resolve. Laura, I've been doing a lot of thinking, he said, his voice steady. I want to go to couples therapy. I want to work on our marriage. I felt a flicker of hope, but was also hesitant. Do you really mean it, Mark? Or is this just another attempt to fix things without addressing the root of the problem? I mean it. I want to rebuild the trust we've lost. I know it will take time, but I'm committed, he replied, sincerity shining in his eyes. With a deep breath, I weighed my options. The idea of therapy felt daunting, but necessary. Okay, I'll consider it, but you have to be completely honest with me from now on, I said, feeling a glimmer of hope for the first time in weeks. As we embarked on this new journey together, I knew it wouldn't be easy. The road ahead would be filled with challenges, but I felt a renewed sense of determination. I would fight for my family, but I also needed to prioritize my own happiness. In therapy, we began to peel back the layers of our relationship, addressing the issues that had caused so much pain. It wasn't a quick fix. Some days were harder than others, but I was willing to put in the effort if it meant healing and rebuilding. One evening, after a particularly tough session, I sat on the porch, sipping tea as the sun set. I felt a sense of peace wash over me. It was a reminder that healing takes time, and I was learning to embrace the journey, no matter how messy it might be. As the months went by, I found strength in my vulnerability. Mark began to open up more, sharing his fears and insecurities. It felt like we were starting to reconnect, and I couldn't help but feel hopeful. One day, as we sat in therapy, Mark turned to me, his eyes filled with emotion. Laura, I know I messed up, but I want to be the husband you deserve. I want to be there for you and our kids, he said, his voice shaky. I felt tears welling in my eyes as I looked at him. I appreciate that, Mark. I want to believe that we can get through this, but we both have to put in the work. In that moment, I realized that while the road ahead was uncertain, we were both committed to moving forward. We were beginning to build a stronger foundation, one built on honesty, trust, and a deeper understanding of each other. As the sun set behind the horizon, I felt a sense of hope blossoming within me. The secrets that had threatened to tear us apart were slowly fading, replaced by a commitment to grow together. I knew the journey would be long, but for the first time in months, I felt like we could emerge stronger from the darkness. As we continued our journey, I embraced the ups and downs, knowing that true healing takes time. I learned to trust again, not only in Mark, but also in myself. It was a slow process, but every step forward felt like a victory. Through therapy, we uncovered the root of our issues, learning to communicate more effectively. We made a pact to share our feelings openly and to check in with each other regularly. It was a small step, but it felt monumental. As summer approached, we decided to take a family vacation together. It felt like a leap of faith, but I was excited about the prospect of making new memories with Mark and the kids. We chose a cozy cabin in the mountains, surrounded by nature. It was the perfect opportunity to reconnect as a family and escape the pressures of our daily lives. The first night, we gathered around a fire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. As I looked at Mark, I felt a warmth in my heart. I realized that despite everything we had been through, there was still love between us. The next day, we hiked along the trails, laughing and enjoying each other's company. I could see the spark returning in our relationship, and it felt invigorating. As we reached the summit of a particularly challenging hike, I turned to Mark, breathless but exhilarated. We did it! Look at this view, I exclaimed, feeling a rush of adrenaline. He smiled at me, his eyes shining with pride. We did, and it's only going to get better from here, he said, taking my hand. In that moment, I felt a renewed sense of hope for our future. We were learning to navigate our challenges together, and it was beautiful. As the sun set behind the mountains, I realized that we were no longer just surviving, but truly living again. The journey of healing wasn't over, but we were on the right path. I couldn't predict what the future held, but for the first time in a long while, I felt optimistic. Through the laughter and tears, I discovered the power of resilience. Life was messy, but I was learning to embrace it, one moment at a time. As we packed our bags to return home, I knew that while we had a long way to go, we were finally moving in the right direction. With each passing day, I felt the weight of uncertainty lift, replaced by a sense of belonging and connection. In the months that followed, we continued to grow and learn. Our family became stronger, united by a shared commitment to honesty and love. One evening, as I sat on the porch with Mark, I turned to him, my heart full. I'm grateful for everything we've been through. It's made us who we are today, I said softly. He nodded, a gentle smile spreading across his face. I wouldn't change a thing, Laura. It's all been worth it. As we watched the stars twinkle above, I felt a sense of peace envelop me. We had faced the storm and emerged stronger, ready to embrace whatever life threw our way. With newfound strength and trust, I was ready to tackle the challenges ahead, knowing that together we could weather any storm.